Sisters and brothers, comrades, it's a great pleasure for me to be comrades who are fighting for justice and freedom in South Africa, Chile, Nicaragua, the Middle East, throughout the whole world. We live in an age of advanced technology, and in my lifetime I have seen men on the moon and women traveling into space. We have seen vital heart transplants, kidney transplants, and we have seen nations, our own included, spending billions on sophisticated methods to kill each other. And yet at the same time, we live in a world with abject poverty, with millions and millions of people denied the basics of life: food, clothes and shelter. And yet, comrades, there is no logical reason.
Comrades and fellow humans, when I was a kid at school and we asked questions in which they was teaching us, my teacher told me that you could equate the government as the parent and the nation as the family. So now let's have a look at this present parent of ours. Is taking care of the family. You know, it's a working class axiom. It's a working class rule in town and village, street, courtway, highway and roads, that you judge the next door neighbour as the way they take care of their kids and the way they take care of their old folk. So now let's have a look at this parent and their care for the kids and the old folk. Today, in every school in Britain, when the children come of leaving age, there's no prospect whatever for a job for them. And of course the old folk, who have fought in 2 world wars, who have worked in industry to take care and defend the family, the nation. And what's their reward? As Tony said earlier on, every winter, thousands of those old folk who made their great contribution, that you and I are still here, are dying in back streets, in villages, in back rooms, in attics. And what they're dying of? Hypothermia, working class terms, the slowing down of the blood circulation because they haven't got enough nourishing food or fuel to keep them warm. That's the situation of this parent today. And what's the reward to the working side of it? Today, we have in this country, never mind about their figures, never mind about their fiddles, we have today in this country 4 million unemployed. That's the real figure. That's their contribution. And you know, the Russians, or the Soviet people, used to refer to her as the Iron Lady. Well, it's a misnomer. It's a misnomer. I call her Mrs. Met the Knife, because it's cuts, cuts, cuts and cuts. And we're the people at the end of the cuts with their surgeons in their cabinet. And so with the situation with the unemployed, what is more tragic than a man and a woman who've been trained for their profession or been trained for their trade, and where their parents, when they were young, poured money in when they were serving as apprentices to learn their trade, walk in the streets, don't know what to do with themselves, suicides. I remember in the 30s, in the early 30s, when I was unemployed, and you picked the paper up and you couldn't read a newsline unless there was somebody, working class families, where they'd committed suicide because they felt at the end of their tether. And it's happening today. That's the reward to the men and women in our country who have worked in industry and have been made compulsory unemployed. Not volunteers, by mergers, takeovers. That's what's happening at the expense of our class.
P&O strikers. Our struggle began 14 weeks ago when myself and 2,300 NUS members at Dover rejected archaic and unsafe working routines that P&O wanted to impose on us without any negotiation. During the early weeks of the strike, we were fighting to defend the loss of 500 jobs and working practices that involved crews spending longer hours on board without guaranteed rest periods. We would be at our place of work for 24 hours without a sleep time. I myself have worked for Townsend Towers and Car Ferries, now P&O Dover, for 11 years. And along with other NUS members, we realise the consequences only too fully of longer duties. It is an unescapable fact that tired people make mistakes. We have campaigned hard to let the public know that P&O were blatantly putting extra profit before safety. We reject their reasons for having to make £6.5 million extra profit from their Dover operations. The excuses of the Channel Tunnel, VAT on ship stores, and the abolition of duty-free sales are not even imminent. It may seem that all the odds are stacked against us. We had very little media coverage, and what did appear in print and on TV was damaging and a misinterpretation of the true facts. P&O's chairman, Geoffrey Sterling, and his allegiance with Thatcher is a well-known fact. He has fingers in many pies and will shortly have to use his bloody toes. He has used his influence in all spheres to break this strike. We were an isolated body who were denied the right of ballots to enable our fellow NUS sisters, brothers and sisters to support us. During the miners' struggle in 84-85, they were told it was undemocratic not to have a national ballot. Here we are in 88, and us seafarers, wanting to follow the democratic procedure, were denied the right for a national ballot. Another classic example of there is not a law that suits, make one up.
Now then, I'm totally blindfolded and I cannot see a thing, not a thing. Are you ready, Zizi?
I'm over here.
Right, so, drum roll, please. Nice loud count with Bozo.
Oh, one. Oh, you don't know any well, Buzz. Your mother said you're millions. Big stars, big fires. This is truly anything. Have you ever in your life seen anything as amazing as this? Bozo is completely and utterly foolish. And just look at this amazing trick he's managing to carry out. God, big wild says, woo, woo. I'm sorry, Bozo. I'm sorry, Bozo.
Wait till I get hold of you. You wait, I'm going to sort you out when I get home. Come here, I'll sort you.
I really didn't want to do it.
Right, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
You're blind.
Come on, then.
Yeah,
Come on,
right.